For decades, he was a leading figure in psychiatry on the island, an authority in his field, respected by his peers, and a national treasure in regards to research into the treatment of mental health conditions. His light has now extinguished, leaving behind a legacy of a distinguished career. Professor Emeritus Dr. Frederick Freddie Hickling died Thursday evening in hospital. He was 75 years old. Marlon Samuels has more in this report.
Born in Jamaica, Frederick Hickling attended Woolmer's Boys' School on a scholarship. He studied medicine and psychiatry at the University of the West Indies, Mona. In 1974, he began working at the Bellevue Hospital for the Mentally Ill and was part of a team that established a unique community psychiatric service. A lover of the arts, he was a stage manager for the National Dance Theatre Company for 15 years. He saw the creative arts as the vehicle of change that could prevent mental illness. He was the pioneer of cultural therapy. He felt it would cause a cultural DNA flip that would transform Jamaicans and Jamaica into a mentally healthy, prosperous country.
When I was at Bellevue, we started, in fact, it started before from Trevor Lindsay's time, but having large group meetings of patients and staff. Sometimes you have 250 people there, 300 people, and we'd have discussions about our history. Why was Bellevue like that?
With patients?
With the patients, with the staff, with the nurses. We were trying to explore why were we in that particular position, and looking at the historical anecdotes that people had, people who were there for 30, 40 years. And therefore we came up with things like the fact of Black Friday, which was a particular strike in 1937 or 38, which was the trigger for the political upheavals of 38. Yeah, it was the first time that there was a major strike in a major institution. It was called Black Friday. The institution was closed down. Now, looking at these historical things now, and everybody was becoming really animated by looking at the history, why the mental hospital operated, and how was madness dealt with by the society. And we were beginning to get insight into this. And I really thought that one of the ways in which to get these insights over were to get them on the stage where hundreds, thousands of people could be seeing them at the same time. So in other words, it didn't just come as an accident, it didn't just come as a brainwave, it came on the basis of the historical examination of self, of the group self within the mental hospital. And then the same group who was having this understanding started to write their own shows, their own lyrics, their own music, and started
so the patients wrote?
Yes, everybody was writing. It was a time of tremendous creativity where patients and staff were writing music and writing songs, and were writing shows together and acting them.
A self-assured man, he did not shy away from controversy.
We are now in the business of the brain and the new frontier. And that in Jamaica, this challenge of the brain and the new frontier is challenging the belief systems of Obia, Duppy, Nihilism, and spiritual possession. René Descartes lived in the 17th century. His famous saying, cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. Everybody know that saying who has been in a little bit of medicine or science. But of course I say that that man is chatting foolishness. Because how can you think before you am? You can only think when there is a brain. So in other words, in order to think, you have to am. And of course, at that point, I usually go into the scripture now, you know. I am that I am, that I am, that I am. That I am. I go into the scripture. Because the reality is that you have to am before you can think. And the whole of Western European thought and ideas has been based on René Descartes, turning that on its head. I think, therefore I am. Now that is the reason why we can believe in Duppy. Because once you think Duppy exists, then Duppy exists. On the basis of that philosophy, once you think that a Duppy exists, then it exists. I am suggesting that a Duppy is a figment of your mind. I know that there will be much opposition to me in this room and in this whole island. That there will be much opposition to me by that statement. I do not believe that Duppy exists. And I do not believe that spirit float up in the sky and that spirit can go in a man's head and take him over. I do not believe that. I will state that categorically.
His mantra was, if it's not written, it does not exist. He is credited with penning over 150 publications and 12 plays. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Marlon Samuels.